The Seminole people originally lived in Alabama and Georgia, but migrated to Florida in the 17th century to escape American colonists and traders. Today there are 6 Seminole reservations in Florida. The Oklahoma Seminole live in 14 different towns in Oklahoma. Other Seminole reside in California, and some are scattered in small groups around the United States.
The name Seminole comes from the Creek word meaning runaway or lover of the wild. Seminole was given to various Native American tribes who fled to Florida in the 1700s from several different areas in the southeastern United States. The Seminole first developed in the late 1700s when a group of Creek Indians moved to northern Florida and settled there to avoid trouble, discover better soil, and seek skins for trading. Members of the other tribes, as well as runaway slaves, joined the core group to form the Seminole population. In the 1830s, most of the Seminole were forced to leave their homelands and relocate to present-day Oklahoma, where they formed new relationships with other tribes who relocated there, including the Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw, and Creek. The history of the Seminole was marked by conflicts, forced removal to the western United States, and great adversity. Through it all, the people have shown self-sufficiency and a fierce independence. In 1988, Congress passed the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act, which established legal foundations for Indian gaming, meaning that Indian communities could establish bingo and casino gaming facilities. In Florida, the state government refused the Seminoles' attempts to negotiate the required compacts that were outlined by the IGRA. So in 1991, the Seminoles retaliated by suing the state of Florida for not complying with the IRGA, and Chairman Mitchell Cypress spoke out and tried to reach an agreement. However, the Supreme Court ruled in the Seminole tribe versus Florida that the state remained immune to prosecution under the IGRA, which was a huge blow to the Indian communities. After the War of 1812, U.S. settlers came to seize southeastern land, which was home to Native American tribes, including the Seminole. Instead of letting the Americans walk right over them, they fought back, and thus started the First Seminole War. At the time, Spain was too weak to retaliate, and so they gave up their land before the U.S. could truly wipe out the Seminole tribe. Although their land was taken, the Seminole continued to help runaway slaves and adopted a new black Seminole clan that consisted of mostly slaves. Shortly after, in October and November of 1817, American officers at Fort Scott ordered the arrest of Seminole leaders living at Fowltown, a settlement just north of the Spanish border. They were accused of threatening the Americans when they attempted to harvest timber. When the Seminole leaders refused, Fowltown was destroyed in a series of raids. Survivors retaliated with devastating force, ambushing a transport boat on the Apalachicola River and killing 51 Americans, 4 of them children. The 18th century was mostly peaceful for the Seminole in Florida. They built relations with Spanish soldiers that stationed in Florida. However, when the war ended, American settlers pushed beyond the Mississippi onto land claimed by the British, thus starting a war over territory. After the war, the Creek tribe fought and lost many men to the U.S. Army, who began to claim land in Georgia and Alabama. Rather than be ruled by the U.S. government, many Creeks fled to Florida and joined the Seminole, therefore tripling the Seminole population. More and more white settlers moved to the south after the war to claim Spanish and Native American territory. A clash between these settlers and the natives of the area was unavoidable. Fighting between American settlers and the Seminole caused the United States to declare war on the tribe in 1817, in a conflict called the First Seminole War. American troops seized Florida from Spain, burning native villages and killing their inhabitants. In 1821, Spain gave Florida to the United States, and therefore American settlers took over the prime farming land and hunting grounds of the Seminole. In the early to mid-1800s, settlers continued to desire Indian land. The official move to Indian Territory was to take place in 1835. Before it could begin, Seminole chief Osceola started a rebellion that resulted in the Second Seminole War. About 500 Seminole hid in the Everglades with Osceola, and for 7 years the vastly outnumbered Seminole warriors put up a brave resistance, using hit-and-run tactics to resist 5,000 U.S. soldiers, striking at them and then disappearing back into the swamps. This conflict developed into the longest and costliest Indian war in the history of the United States. Osceola was captured and later died in a prisoner of war camp, and his successor, Chief Coacochi, took his place and continued fighting, although he was forced to surrender in 1841. Several hundred Seminole remained hidden deep in the Florida Everglades. They were mostly left alone, however. The land surveyors for the federal government destroyed their cornfields and fruit trees, which angered Seminole chief Billy Bowlegs. A displeased Seminole war party attacked the surveyors' camp and killed several members of the party, setting off the Third Seminole War. The U.S. government offered the Seminole money to leave Florida and relocate to Indian Territory. Chief Bowlegs and 123 men accepted the offer, but a few hundred people did not, who now make up the Seminole people of Florida. Today, many Seminoles still farm and raise cattle. However, they also need other jobs to support their families, so those in Florida sell arts and crafts, plant grass, engage in lodging, and wrestle alligators for tourists. They also work in tribal bingo facilities and casinos that are their most profitable enterprises. In addition to their casinos, the Seminole Tribe of Florida operate hotels, citrus groves, smoke shops, hunting operations, a tribal museum, an aircraft company, and the Billy Swamp Safari. In 2006, they purchased the Hard Rock Cafe restaurant and casino chain for $965 million. The Oklahoma Seminole own a bingo operation, a gaming center, which is their primary source of income, and 2 trading posts. Oil production, construction, agriculture, clothing shops, and small manufacturing provide jobs for the tribe members. The Florida Seminole adopted a constitution in 1957 and voted to officially become the Seminole Tribe of Florida. The Seminole Nation of Oklahoma elects a chief and an assistant chief. All decisions about economic matters, social programs, and employment opportunities are the responsibility of a general council, composed of 2 representatives from each of the tribe's 14 groups, who are elected every 4 years. In modern times, the 6 Seminole reservations in Florida are governed by elected tribal councils, whose members advise the federal government on matters that concern the tribe.
While many Native American tribes have protested the use of their tribal names for school mascots, the Seminole agreed that Florida State University can continue to call their team the Seminoles, and in 2006 the college elected a statue depicting a Seminole family, which honors the tribe as the unconquered people.